Hello, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Easy 8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny, says it right down there at the bottom of the screen. Welcome to the show, week 42. We're carrying on with it. I thought for a while it wasn't going to make week 42 because the week was just so busy at work and at life. It only occurred to me yesterday that I hadn't actually even planned tonight's show. But I managed to get it in late last minute yesterday. So thanks for coming along. I can see we've got a couple of people over there in the live chat already. We've got Leslie. Howdy doody do. Nice to see you, Leslie. Thanks for coming along again. Thank you very much. And we've got Luke Gullier again. Hello to people. Any aliens who happen to watch this? Explain yourself. What's this all about? You communicating to other worlds through my channel? Thanks very much. Hope you're doing well, guys. Nice to see you again. I've had a very unproductive week. I hope you guys have had a more productive week. So let us know what it is that you're going to be up to today over there in the live chat, or if you're watching this back on replay, if you're not watching it live, let us know in the comment section to this video down here. Easy 8 Online Painting Club is not a tutorial by any stretch. It is just a means for people to kind of get together live or just watch it back on replay to get together and paint the things that they enjoy painting. It can be whatever you want it to be. Hobby painting, could be canvas painting, could be models like what I do here. I mean, obviously it's more around models for me, but whatever you like. We're just here to provide a bit of company, motivation, hopefully inspiration. Let us know what it is that you're up to. So if you are painting anything today, making anything today, just kind of chilling out on this channel, drop us a line over there, or again, like I say, in the comments down there. If you like what we do, or even if you don't, please just follow us anyway, because that would be really nice. That would be really cool. We are not just here on YouTube, we're also on Instagram and on Facebook. Here somewhere. There you are. Cool. Luke says, I'm back on Sisters. Yeah! To clarify, Sisters of Battle, that could be a misleading sentence. Sorry. Sisters of Battle, models, painting, brilliant, cheers. Yeah, we're not just here on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're also on Discord, so at the end of the show you can come and join me and a couple of the other guys who like to hang around at the end. You can join in the community over there as well. Maybe like, maybe follow. What would really help us out is if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, if you're so inclined, if you like what we do. And if you know anybody else who might be interested in the show, spread the word. That would be lovely. Thanks very much. That's the Facebook like symbol, isn't it? Yeah, thumbs up. Cool, whatever. Also, hit the big bell button icon down there, thingy, whatever, because it tells you when I go live. I've noticed today that I'm actually having a couple of issues with my connection. So if I do drop, because this is a live broadcast, it happens sometimes. It's very unprofessional. It's very depressing when it happens. But the only way that I can get back online again, I can't reconnect to the video. I don't know why it does that. But if it does, just go to the YouTube channel and just look for a new video. So if I drop, that's what I'll do. Hopefully I won't, because last couple of weeks has been really, really good. Anyway, some more comments going in. Leslie, hi dude, I'm painting my massive Nurgle pimple. Yeah dude, some problems going on there, bro. Seeing the pictures though on Facebook, they're looking really cool. So if you are painting anything, drop us an image, put it up on the Facebook page. Everyone can get a look at it over there. If I get the first coat of disgusting white on, I'll consider it a win. Grim. Yeah, the Garden of Nurgle grows. I actually really like the concept. I think it's really cool. Meat trees and such. Good idea. Is it original idea? Is it something that's actually in the lore? I don't really know. Would love to know a bit more. Anyway, things that I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to take you over to the workbench because there's a few things over here. Not a lot at the moment. If you remember last week and the week before, I've been working on creating my little Skitarii Marshall. He is my little low-level leader for my Skitarii. He's pretty much done. Because I had a stick inside here, well, I was using it as a handle to hold. I'll bring it into shot, it'll be a bit better. Because I had a stick in here to hold while I was painting him, he kind of got... It ruined the little hole that you stick the legs on into. So on Discord at the end of last week, I was talking to Luke and Adrian and Jeanette and Chris. While I was talking to them, I just had like a little mini drill, and I was just kind of drilling the inside of this area just so that it could fit. Also, the paint, the thickness of the paint, even though it's minuscule by our eyes, is enough to actually interfere. So that's such a tight fit. And as I'm kind of playing around with it, there's little bits of plastic dust and stuff coming out of it. A little bit of damage just here, if I point in here, just here, where the two pieces have put together, but it's where they touch. You're not going to see it. And it's a really tight fit. I haven't glued them together yet because I thought that I'm still going to do the base, and that's one of the projects I'm going to be doing tonight. There are a couple of things that, and I'm okay with it, but I'm unhappy with the general appearance of the miniature, is that there's no real clear border, no real clear definition between some of the areas, and most of those sort of bits, most of those places are on the armor. For example, I'll get a really small brush so I can point with a bit better. There's various plates on the helmet up here. There's no real definition, doesn't stand out, doesn't pop, doesn't really kind of bring your attention to it as much as I want it to. Some other areas that are a little bit harder to perhaps bring some definition to really are the little buckles here. I've actually dropped Agrax Earthshade, I think it is, on those to give them a little bit more lift, as I have done with all the other gold bits on here. A bit of Agrax or sepia tone, dry brush them different types of golds, you know, kind of highlight them a little bit, maybe even put a little bit of silver in there as well. I just find at my level, these little buckles or whatever they are, yeah, little buckles, they're just particularly hard to do something with. I do plan to do something with them. I'll just probably drop a little bit more Agrax just around them perhaps, and maybe I'll just add a little highlight flick again just to kind of give them some sort of variation, some tone. We got the cog symbol with the skull, one on the back here and one on the front here. They're particularly difficult to paint. I have identified them with a little bit of white paint and shaded them ever so slightly with a little bit of contrast just so I can see where they are and what the patterns are. They need to be painted, and there's also a couple of lenses. There's a lens here, a little light in there, but I might just leave that, and there's also a lens here and here on the skull. So again, might leave this one. I might do like a little coloured dot, like a little red or green dot or something, boop boop like that, and I'll do a little lens on him. I'm going to do this one like a little red light to differentiate between the blue on the Skitarii. I really like how my Skitarii lens has come out, but again, I just think like all the silver plates need a bit of definition. The Basilicanum Grey contrast, which I've been using recently as like an alternative to Null, is really good at applying a filter effect to the silver. Tones it down, blends it away, stops the silver from being so in your face. It's like around these little areas here, for example. Oh, I'll break come in the shot again. I need to reposition my camera. Yeah, this area here, this is beautiful, and it was literally the quick wipe of the brush. The back of the helmet is all wonderful around there, but maybe I just need a better mix of it and just kind of drop it in and around the kind of the plates in the face, just to kind of bring those out a little bit. I don't really know. It just needs a little something. I might do a little bit more rendering on the overalls perhaps. Gun needs a little bit of work. Gonna do some, still haven't actually looked for any turquoise colours yet, but I want to do like a little turquoisey colour in these little vents here to make it look like that's a glowing part of the weapon. They're supposed to be radiation weapons. I like the idea of it kind of glowing with a, you know, with a certain ominous glow. Yeah, and then there's a little detail just in here. Sounds like quite a lot of stuff to do. I suppose it is quite a lot of stuff to do, but I'm not perplexed by it. I just kind of want to crack on and get it done, because the other day, did I bring it in with me? Did I? Oh no, I left it in the other room. I'll show you anyway. You can go online, you can see it. You've seen it all, I'm sure. But I bought a box of Skitarii Rangers. A bit of my mustache hair is going into my nose all the time. It's really irritating. Let me just deal with that. Curses. There we go. So yes, Skitarii Rangers. I'm going to do them half and half. So I'm going to do half Rangers, half Vanguard, because you have it's basically a sister kit. You can kind of make it do that. I'll probably only have one leader figure in there, because you get like a leader figure as a squad of 10, but it means that I can then get another box later on and do them half and have the leader as the other side. Does that make sense? Yeah, cool. Yeah, so this guy's just basically been like a practice of the colours that I want to do. I've absolutely loved painting him. It's been, and the orange is beautiful. You guys definitely made the right choice with the darker of my oranges rather than the lighter one. That was cool. The red really blends away nice and softly. It's just about perfecting it now. So I didn't expect this guy to go to plan. Or perfect on the first go. Might do something with this little wire as well that kind of goes around this hose. And if you can see, there's a wire that goes around it. On the image, on the picture that comes with the packet, that's hazard markings all the way up that tiny little wire. I'm not doing that. I'm not that good. Don't ruin it. But what I really want to concentrate on, before I go any further with that piece, is this piece here, because I've got some new products for that. But before I get into that, some more comments from Leslie. It's an original idea. My folks took me to a garden centre that was amazing and beautiful, so I thought, I wonder how gross it would be if my Nurgle owned it. Thus my own little garden of Nurgle. Man, you've done good with that, little dude. Thank you very much, and I love the fact that your garden of Nurgle is your own original idea. That's brilliant. That's something to bring to the table, isn't it? Let me just reposition my camera a little bit, because I've tilted a little bit too close to me, and I'm a little bit out, so this is a bit more comfortable for me to be painting here. Okay, cool, there we go. Wonderful. Swig of tea, just bear with me. Even better when someone else makes it for you, right? Okay, so I bought some new products, because you know me, I just like to buy stuff. I like to play with things and have a go. So I went to just play games again, one of the companies that I like to not represent but just give a massive shout out to, because I think that the guys up there are just phenomenal. Great service, really personalised, and they're just gamers for gamers, man, you know. I bought some Tuft glue from Green Stuff World. I know it's a Green Stuff World product, but I bought it through play games in Liverpool, because it's just a bit easier than waiting for ages and ages for these guys to get stuff to you. Love their products. But Tuft glue is a sticky tacky glue that you can put on parchment sheets to make your own static grass tufts. I love making static grass tufts. I like the fact that you can kind of position them, put them on bases. I can create whole sheets of them. I've got the machine to do it all. It's a really big machine, like a big bed, and I can just do hundreds in one go. The hardest thing is just going blop, 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 blop. It takes a while, but otherwise it's just shake on your grass and off you go. As Easy 8 kind of grows, I would actually like to be able to start making products that are, you know, for the community, and all the money that I make from those products would go just into making this program and anything else that I do just better. But that's something to come in the future. So yeah, just some stuff. I'm playing around different products, seeing what it is that I can create. I've also bought oh yeah, a couple of extra things. These aren't all relevant to tonight's show at all. Some retarder medium. This is the stuff that I've been talking about to kind of help paints stop drying so fast in the airbrush. So I'm hoping that that's going to help me lots. Did not word that very well at all. I'm looking at it now, and I'm hoping that I've bought the one that is for for the airbrush. I don't think I have, but it'd be great to have it for the brush as well. I've also got some plastic putty, because I like to experiment lots of different types of these. I've got the Green Stuff World one, which is good, but I find that it's got limited applications, so I thought I'd give this one a try. It's to do the same thing, but I'm just interested in the product. It was quite affordable at the time, so I got that too. Yeah. And then, this is one of the products that I am going to be using tonight. I brought some Martian Earth Crackle paint. I have the other Crackle paint from Green Stuff World. This is, it says one step there, and it should say Badlands, I believe, because it's a grey colour, which I've been using on all my Tyranids. This one here is just a colour that's more appropriate to Martian-y colours. I'm going to keep the base nice low-tone red on the rim, just because it's kind of should hopefully balance the whole miniature. But I would like it to have a mixture of reds and ochres, as it's kind of dust and particles. And I want to have, don't want to make it Martian, it's perfectly Martian landscape, but I want to have like, I don't want to make it like bright pink or, you know, bright blue and have crackle paint. I want it to resemble red colours. I'm going to play around with some ochres and things. So what I did is just to have a go, and I'll be playing with these tonight, hopefully. Really excited to get these out of the packets in a minute. I've got some pigments. I've left them in the bags because I can see that there's a little bit of pigment creeping around inside, so it gets everywhere. This is the powder. And you can add it to medium to create your own paints. You can add them dry. You can do so much stuff with them. Basically, the world is your oyster with them. And I've got 3 different colours. I've got natural iron oxide, which is a nice flat black, which I thought might just be handy to kind of darken some tones down. I've got a nice dark red ochre. and I've also got a burnt sienna in there as well. I was going to get like a yellow ochre, but I thought actually I want to keep it quite ready. I don't want to go too yellow. I don't want to blend off with the cloak too much. I thought adding these two colours together I might be able to come up with some interesting reds and browns. Maybe you can get some like mild orangey colours out of it, and I can tone it all down with black if I want to. So I'm just going to play around with those and see how that goes. These are from Vallejo. I bought all of this. Didn't buy these three actually from Just Play Games. Someone else who I will get the details out for later on, and in next week's show, and I'm a bit better planned, I'll actually do a little write-up. Maybe I'll get in contact with the guys in that company, like I like to do quite a lot, and give them a nice big shout out on the stage here, if you like. Cool. So that is some products that I've bought. What I'm really interested in doing is just getting this base done here. So I could get some sand in a bit. Kind of, make it all a bit textured. You can get some texture paint on there, and I think it's the texture paint that I'm going to get on there now, because I want that to dry, and then in the second half of the show we come back to it and just have a little bit of texture that isn't just the base. I've added another coat of contrast silicanum grey to the rock here, and I'm gonna like paint it with the pigments, kind of stain it up red and whatever. I just kind of want some areas of it to be like the kind of rocky grey colour, because if you look on Mars, like rover pictures and things, you can often see like grey rocks coming through the rusty colour surface, because we know that the dust on Mars is red because of the iron oxide, but the actual rock is like kind of a really grey colour, almost a steel grey colour, and I kind of wanted to have elements of that showing through. So in other bases I could do in the future, I could just kind of paint patches grey and just have it showing through, just little details like that. And then obviously with the pigments, I can also kind of put it up the cloak and up the legs and make it look like it's got dusty from walking around. Something I've not done before, something I'm really looking forward to having a go with. Cool. Right, let's get some texture paint on here. I've got some Agrellan Earth. That's not what I want. I want Agrellan Badlands, I believe. Yeah, here we go. So from Citadel, the texture paint. It's just the lumpy stuff, not the stuff that kind of goes like crackle paint. I'm actually quite unprepared today, just because it's been a bit potty. Not around the house, but just in general. This is the last week of working completely busy at work, so hopefully it shall be quietening down a bit and I'll be able to put a bit more time and effort back into the show. But you got to work, right? Here we go. Got my little Citadel scalpel, spatula. These are really handy. I recommend getting one. Nice bit of flex to it as well. Give it a little bit of a mix. I don't want to be putting this everywhere. I'm just going to kind of like put it on certain bits straight from the tub, but I like to use the little bit at the top just to kind of control what I've got. I'm just going to kind of put some on. It doesn't really matter about the colour of this stuff. I bought the red Martian Earth colour, this stuff here, because I kind of wanted to use it as a paint colour as well. I'm gonna like try and get at least a mild covering over the whole base of this one, just so I hide the texture of the base. So even if it just is like the thinnest layer, because it's really quite gritty. But I don't necessarily want like a massively textured base all over. That makes sense. I can see that another comment's going in from Leslie. I love pigment powders. I use them dry with a dry brush. The effects can be amazing. Yes, they can be. I'm a little bit nervous about going into it. I have had a quick go with pigments before. I've done them on the Panther, the 135th Panther. And it didn't go according to plan, and I wonder if it's just because I wasn't using it right and I just need a bit of experience. But I'm all ready to kind of have a go. Whatever. So in some areas, going to put it on quite thick, not massively thick, but thicker. Wipe it away from the rim down there because I don't want it on the side. There we are. Wonderful. And what I'll do in a bit as well is I can put some PVA glue down, or any kind of glue really, and put some sand on there. Don't have the sand in the studio at the moment, but that's no big deal because I need to wait for this to dry anyway. I could have put the sand on first, I could put the sand on later, doesn't really matter. I've been watching a couple of videos what the pros like to do with their bases. Obviously I turned to Duncan Rhodes Painting Academy, and he kind of does it this way. This is the way that seemed to be very sensible to me, or his ideas seem to be very sensible. So I'm taking a lot from Duncan Rhodes's book today. Cool, so just going to leave that there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put on a little bit of crackle paint and see what that does too. I believe I might need to actually pierce the top on this one. Oh, I love the sound of breaking open a new paint. Yeah, I need to pierce into the top there, so I need a stabby feature. Is this a good stabby feature? Bit of control with a pointy down bit. Beautiful. Let's give that a little twirl around the inside. I used to actually snip the tops off of Green Stuff World dropper bottles, but actually don't do it. It doesn't leave you with an awful lot of control afterwards if you do. Wonderful. That's a really nice colour that's coming out there actually. Right, because I want a bit of control from it, I'm just going to put it onto a palette over here. So if I just drop it into the red bit here so that the light isn't blinding you guys. Comes out really quick, you've got to be careful, but you do actually want quite a bit of this stuff, because the more of it that you have, the bigger that pattern, the bigger that crack pattern comes out. If you put on a thin layer, you're going to almost get nothing, especially out of this paint. It's it works differently than the Citadel version. It just reacts differently. If you put it on really thick, you're going to get really bigger cracks. Just going to wash my brush through because I got some repair gel in it. It makes the bristles go stiff. There we go. Then I'm going to apply this little bit with a brush, because this is an acrylic paint. It just dries differently. It will come out of your brush. Just don't leave it in your brush. So that's a beautiful colour. The trick is that I've learned is to not just go mental with crackle paint and put it everywhere. Though you can, is to kind of have it in areas and feather it out, so you don't just have like a stark lump that goes right here. Put it thick in one area and then kind of blend it out into the surrounding texture. So I've got surrounding textures here with this sort of texture paint that I've put down. I've put in a heavy lump in the middle, and now I'm just kind of lightly sort of feathering around. I've got a couple of spatula marks here, so I'm going to fill those with a bit of this paint. I'm going to go in quite heavy with that. I can just kind of drop it in. Quite a bit of control with the using the brush over a spatula with this stuff, which is what I've used in the past. And sometimes I've actually even just poured it straight onto the base. I kind of just want it in patches. There we go. And again, I'm going to feather that out. Luke has put in there with pigments. I tend to pinpoint them a bit, so I like to place it with a cocktail stick and then dry brush it or blow it to make it seem natural. That's a really good idea. I didn't even think about like dry brushing with it either. Quite like what you guys are doing with it. Just a little bit of feathering then. I might try and get a little bit up around the rocks on it as well. See what happens. Drying already because it's another warm day. We're having some of the hottest weather we've had for a while down here in sunny Devon, here in the southwest of the UK. Right, I'm going to drop in it heavy dollop of the stuff just down the side. I don't know if you can see that so well here, but just down inside the rock here. Drop it in quite a heavy amount, and I'm actually going to bring it up over the surface of the rock. Just to add a bit of variation. That's quite cool. I like that. Back of the rock there as well. It's a really nice scarlet-y red colour. I like it. It's actually quite close to the orange that I've been using. So hopefully dull down with a little bit of pigments and kind of, you know, giving some variation. It'll be a really nice colour. If not, then I can always just paint over it. Wonderful. I think I've got a little bit too much of the crackle paint in there, so I'm just going to try and, their capillary action, just remove it. There we go. There. Right, I'm just going to see what happens to it, really. And now, with the next stage, I'm just going to play with some pigments and just see what colours they turn out to be. So, I mean, I could use my palette, but my palette isn't very clean. I think that a clean palette might be a better idea here. So I'm going to get my metal palette. Hopefully it's not going to be too reflective, so we can actually see some stuff. It's going to be amazingly reflective. Okay, cool. Let's get a piece of paper up here. I dropped them all, didn't I, earlier? There we are. From some old airbrush testing paper here. So what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to open up these pigments. So I'm just going to pull some small amounts out. I'm just going to mix them, see what happens to them. I could do it on the darker side here. It's a bit easier to see, perhaps. As you can see, I never throw anything away. I've got the natural iron oxide, which I think I might want to leave for later. I want to go straight in for the dark red oxide. Cool. Those of you that use pigments, whatever, do you keep little plastic bags to put them all in, or do you find that these are actually enough to seal it all? Because I noticed that they've actually got like proper protective lids on them. I'm wondering if this stuff's going to go everywhere. What do you guys do? Oh yes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a different, I've got some other brushes that my old man gave to me the other day that are just going to be very useful for doing this sort of thing. So I'm just going to reach over and get some other brushes. They're a little bit cheaper brushes, but they've barely been used, so they'll actually be really handy for this sort of thing. I think that one there might be a good brush to use. Here we go. Look at that. It's got a little scoopy action on there as well. So I'm just going to maybe get a little here. Might get like a couple of, like, say maybe 3 scoops of each colour. There. That might be enough to play around with. And then some burnt sienna. Now I've used burnt sienna as a colour before when I'm painting. I'm interested to see how it's going to look as a pigment. Nice colour, browny colour. It's kind of got those almost orangey tones to it. Should have got a red one, really. Just interesting to see what happens when you kind of manipulate things and move things around. Obviously I don't want to just go, oh, here's some, you know, orange colour, here's some brown colour, here's some black colour. I want to have variations. I want to kind of, you know, mix them around a little bit, see what they do. And like, yeah, this bit over here is going to have a certain blend, and this one over here is going to have a different ratio blend, and this is going to be neat orange or whatever. I see a couple more comments going in. Luke says the lid is good enough to keep the stuff in for me and sometimes keeps me from getting in. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I was struggling just a minute ago, but I didn't let anybody know. I didn't want to let you know that I was struggling to kind of get in there. Leslie says, I keep them in the pots and the powder comes in. Just don't forget, no wet brush in the pot unless you want to see some funny sludge. Yeah, okay, point taken. Brilliant. So what I've got here is more browny colours than reds, which is a bit of a shame, because obviously I wanted more reds, and I didn't really think about getting red ones. The pictures looked like the red ochre looked a lot more red on the picture. Let's see what happens if I add a bit of black to it. I'll just bring out one scoop of black. See where we go with that. Interesting blends. Actually, that black's added quite a nice sort of tone to it. Let's see if I add the rest in there. I want the ground, I suppose, to look quite sinister. Don't want it to look happy or cheerful. And that's what obviously lighter, warmer colours can kind of bring. They can bring a bit of a happier nature to it. I think it does need a bit of red. And I'm quite reluctant just to kind of stick this on right now and go like, oh, this is better. This is how it's going to be. I would like it to be more reddier. I could add some red paint to it to see what happens, but obviously that's going to make it go on wet. I could add it to the paint that's over there. Obviously I've got some in my palette over here to kind of have a little play around with that, so that's what I'll do in a minute. And just kind of move it around, see what happens. Well, I like the way that it mixes. This is essentially paint without any kind of aqueous medium to it, and it's interesting just to kind of play with it and see what sort of colours you get. What I'm looking for is like random blends. Like over here right now I've got some like darker bits, and over here I've got some lighter bits. I've actually got some really light earth tones that I was using for the tank that I could mix in there just to give a little bit of variety. So I could reach down just a second and get some of that as well, unless I have it up here. Did I leave it up? No, it's hidden away in the box, but it's not too hard to get to. I'll pull some of that out in a minute. Oh no, here it is. I has it. This is from the AK range, the European Light Earth, or Europe Earth. Not wanting to get my products mixed up, I'll use a little spatula here. There we go, there's that colour. Got a bit of an issue with focus going on here, so let me go into my camera settings and just see if I can get a bit more focus on. There we go, that's a bit better, isn't it? Cool. Normally I sort of work a little bit higher than the actual table surface, so I have like a set focus on there. Alright, I'm going to add it to some paint and see what happens. So if I get a brush here, I'm just going to paint it on this. I've got like a flatter surface in the middle of the palette here. I'm just going to get a big lump of this, and I'm just going to pop some of it down. And I'm going to use a bit where I can mix it around. I'm just going to keep that bit lumpy, just pour some onto it, see what happens. And I'm going to use this bit over here just to kind of mix it into a little bit. Wash my brush out. Okay, let me use this brush here to kind of pick some up, and I'm going to flick it in and Just see what happens. Maybe I'll do what the guys were saying and kind of just spray some in a little bit. If I use the edge of my brush here, I can get some nice textures in there perhaps. Yeah, just wanted to see what happens. Okay, cool. I'm now going to tip some of this in here. I'm going to put a bit of black in there as well. Now I'm going to mix them all up. Definitely adding to the reddy tones there. Let's turn it into a thick sludge for sure. Okay, I'm interested to see that on a slightly larger scale. Science! Okay, what I'm going to do from here then is I'm just going to scoop all of this stuff up and stick it straight in to this pile up here. Gonna pop it in. It's kind of fun just playing, just mixing things. We all know that I'm going to start sneezing soon, right? Right, do you know, that's enough just to kind of start with. I've got a good mixing brush here somewhere. That's my airbrush mixing brush. That's a really good one to do this with, because it doesn't really matter so much about what happens to it. Okay, cool. That's mixed up into a big gelatinous ball, so I'm going to put a bit more paint into it. There we go, just a couple more drops. See what happens. I think the colour of the new paint I just put in has overwhelmed all of those all of those pigment colours. Do you know what? An easier way to get around this one? Just going to tip that in. Here comes a big mess. Oh. What a creation. I want to know if with all of this extra stuff in here, does that crackle paint still have its kind of crackle properties? For sure, I'm going to have to probably mix a medium in here for water or something like that. And I wonder... Okay, I've made quite a mess of the colours in there. But that's fine. Let's just see what properties the paint has. Does it go like crackle medium? I've also got just some crackle medium, which is absolutely 100% clear, and I could just add, or clear or white, I'm not entirely sure, but the fact is I could add pigments to that and see what happens too. Darren's joined us. Hi guys. Hi Darren, nice to see you again. Thanks for coming along, man. Hope you're doing well, buddy. To be fair as well, I know it's actually a quieter evening. I am very aware a lot of people have been texting me or sending me messages saying actually a load of people are off to certain functions and things. So it is a quieter night than normal. Jeff, Adrian, Jeanette, they're not all online tonight. I am aware of it. It's a quieter one. A great opportunity to kind of play around with some texture paints and some pigments and things. So I'm now scooping this stuff out with a little silicone brush. And it's very, very pasty. I've added a little bit of water in there, and I'm interested now to kind of see what happens. This is actually quite similar to the Citadel crackle paint texture. So I'm just going to lay it down nice and thick here. Add a bit of water to another piece maybe and see what happens. Okay. What if I go really thin over here? Right, I'm going to leave that, come back to it in a bit. I'm going to leave the base that I've put the Martian red earth onto as well, and I'm going to come back to that one. I'm going to put my paints, my pigments over here. Again, I'm working in a really untidy space, but who cares, right? Don't know what I'm necessarily going to do with all this pigment here. I know that I need to get rid of it. Oh my god, I have made such a violent mess. Let me get rid of this into here. To bring the Dyson in later, I think, before that goes into the carpet, never to come out ever again. Cool, just some pigments I'm playing around with. If you have a look at the paint color of the Martian paint color that I put down earlier, you can see that it's quite an orangey red, and I've got some quite orangey colors, ochres and things with the pigments that I've been playing around with. I do want to have a big red element in that color. I want it to be sort of red to this color, bits of browns, bits of blacks and things. I don't really know how to achieve that without a red pigment, but I've got my textures down for now, so I'm okay with that. I might put some more rocks on it. I might put some more, some more stones or something, a bit more something else to it. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with it yet. Just playing around with some colours. Right, but I do want to get onto painting the rest of the Marshall himself. So while that base is drying away, pop that over there. Going to get rid of this page with the pigment on it, and just drop that behind me and have some more tea. Now I'm going to do some proper painting. I just love playing around with new products. So like these pigments or these colours, why not? Give it a go. Just getting all the pigment out of all of my tools before I carry on. There we go. Okay. Oh, I've made a mess. So, back to this bad boy. What did I want to do with it? I wanted to make some defining areas on it. I wanted to add some black border lines in it. I might actually bring a little bit of the old Nuln oil to drop in there, just to kind of add a little bit of extra definition. I also think that the area around the outside of this metal area here is a little lacking in definition. I'm a bit out of focus again now, so I'm going to come back in with that focus. There we go, that's nice and sharp, isn't it? Wonderful. So yeah, I might add a little bit of definition in here again, just a little bit of Nuln oil perhaps. I've also, if that's not working, I do have my shader here, but this is very intense and can get a bit too much very easily. So I might use that as like a last resort if you want to. Yeah, so I'm just going to add a little bit of definition to them, and then once I've got that, I might then go straight on to doing the cog, because those are some features that really need to be pulled out. So let's go to Nuln oil. Do I have my Nuln oil out? I don't. I just have my sepia. Do you know what? I'm actually going to practice with sepia first. A little bit disorganized today. I've got sepia, I've got Agrex Earthshade, because I want to do those gold buttons or buckles on him as well. So it might be a good idea just to drop those in. Practice my steady hand. Right. I've got my little tiny sable brush here. I could be using the better point of my Raphael brush, but it's got such a big belly to the bristles that if I use that, I would probably overflow the area with the shade that I'm using. Now I'm finding as I'm dropping this on, I'm getting some very intense brown dots on the gold. That's absolutely fine. Just going to let it just set a little bit, just kind of dry just partially while I'm dropping this on. And then I'll come back in a minute and I'll use some reverse capillary action, if you like, of the brush, and then I'll kind of like lift off the excess, and hopefully paint has started to set a little bit around the outer sides of the buckle. I don't know if you can really see it. I can see it on this bottom buckle here. Exactly what I wanted to happen is happening. The paint is pushed away from the gold bit and kind of just running around the outsides of that buckle, but it isn't running all the way around on the orange. It's just kind of running away from me on the orange. Now my experience with Nuln Oil is that it will. That's a bit better. Got one that's a bit too intense, so there we go. Just kind of lift some of it off just by dabbing the bristles of the brush onto it. There we are. I'm going to go over in a minute with some lighter gold just to pick those surfaces out. Got to wait for that shade to die down a little bit. Got a slight squeak in my nose. I don't know if anybody else can hear that. It's quite whistly. Just noticed it then. Doing me head in already. Wonderful. I've noticed that the black that I've done on the glove is actually quite nice. I might give that another coat of black. And then I might use like a nice grey just to kind of run across the edges of the fingers, just to kind of bring those features out a little bit, define them a little bit more. In a box down here I should have my Nuln Oil. I have so many boxes, it's probably time to get a nice sort of case for all of my paints. Here's my Nuln Oil, wonderful. Gonna give that a good shake. So my old nemesis, we meet again. Some pigment on my fingertips, I just kind of, on my hands, I just wanted to remove there. I don't want that going anywhere. Okay, so I am going to just drop a couple of beads of Nuln Oil into the helmet because he's got this lovely little kind of crescent pattern, I suppose, on the top in there, and I just want those to stand out a little bit. So I'm just going to drop these in, and hopefully it'll just run around a little bit. Just bring some of those features up. I don't want it to take away from anything that the Basilicanum Grey is doing. So I suppose if you like the two colours are actually working together. The Nuln Oil is actually watery enough to kind of run around a little bit and actually find home in some of the corners. That's actually working rather well in there. I'm just removing the Nuln Oil from the edge of the brush, just making sure that I go over the raised areas, just to lift that Nuln Oil out, and that's actually brought in quite a bit of definition now, and I can go in the really light silver and just add like a little highlight in there just to make them stand out a bit more. That's done everything I wanted it to. That's really good. Maybe there is a use for Nuln Oil after all. And again now in the shoulders up here on the pauldrons, I'm making sure I'm going in nice and light. I'm just gonna, there we are, a nice little black line border. incidentally, this is the use that I wanted out of Nuln Oil that I could never get it to do. I was going in too heavy with it, probably, but I could never get that. I could never get it to do both filter and the bordering, so that's why I went and bought that ink shader, which does do a really interesting job. But if I can use Basilicanum Grey as a filter on Nuln Oil, I so struggle with that word. If I use the Nuln Oil as this kind of just a little bit of definition, it'll be a winning combination. It's going well so far. That's really working. It's really just such a subtle feature that's just making everything really work in there. And now, just in and around the outside of the arm, the metal arm in the sleeve here, it's a little bit harder to get it to do what I want it to do, so I'm just kind of going in a little bit heavier, and then again I'm going to use the capillary action to lift it out. It's working really well. Probably lifted a little bit too much out of one side there, so I'm just going to go back in with a bit more. There we go. That's everything I needed it to be. That's wonderful. Hey Nuln Oil, we found a job for you. Right, got a lot of shading that I want doing on some of the breastplate, chestplate area in there. So not going to go in awfully quick. Just take my time, right? Just take my time. Again, I don't want to be taking away from the effect that the contrast grey has done, the Basilicanum Grey. I don't want to lose that effect in any way. Just trying to add some nice sharp contrast in there. Just hit here and there. I'm just identifying little bits where, like the Nuln could really add some benefit to. When the Nuln Oil dries, it does go quite a bit faded, so I'm actually just going back over some of the helmet pieces now. I'm hoping that they don't do too much. Use a bit of Nuln Oil just to go over the cog symbol in the middle there. And what that should do is it should just help me see where all the details are in there. It's a bit nicer. Yeah, I can see what I'm doing. Okay, the other pauldron. Then I might do some features on the gun as well. Now, if the Nuln Oil just dries almost invisible, because it seems to be that, just from what I've seen now, it seems to be as it goes on wet, it's quite a strong colour, and then as it dries, it goes faded. That isn't going to be ideal, and is also one of the problems I've had with Nuln Oil in the past. I'm just hoping that as I'm going lighter, it kind of works a bit better. If it doesn't, then I've always got my shader to go back to. It's just very intense. And it does take a while to dry as well. Now I'm going to drop just a little bit on the back of the helmet, because it's got the same pattern on the back of his helmet. I would like that to stand out a bit more, but all the features on the back of the backpack, they're all fine. Go back in there in a minute if I need to. So what I've done on the end of the gun barrel here is I've just applied quite a heavy amount of Nuln Oil. It's a bit too much, so on the raised areas, again, just going to rub the dry brush bristles over the end there and lift a lot of it out, and it's actually left quite a nice effect. I can compare, I don't know if you can see on the camera so well, but I can compare the silver from the end of the gun to the body of the gun and see what the difference is between the basilicanum grey. I don't want it to take that effect away, so I'm being quite careful in the application of Nuln Oil here. Just trying to bring out, help lend a bit more definition to some of the details. Seems to have done a pretty good job. Drop a little bit of Nuln Oil on the handle there. That's brought a bit of definition in there. Lovely. Just going to use a bit of the Nuln just to go around some of the features on the scepter, because I find them a little lacking in some of the places here. I think we're on a winner. Again, just going to go back over one last time on some of the helmet patterns here. I think we just need a little bit of definition. Happy with that. Let's have a look, see how this base is going on down here. Put the Nuln Oil away for a second. Some interesting effects already. The red is changing colour a little bit as it dries. It's almost like it's got a kind of a browny quality to it as it dries over here. Yeah, starting to get some mild cracking here, so we get some little bits of cracks just around the rock and the stone, which is looking really nice. I like the way that is setting. I get the light in a bit. There we go, a bit better. So you can see that there's some really nice cracking effects in here. That's looking really good. I'm hoping we're going to get some really big cracks in that little area, and then just some little bits, just kind of where I feathered it out. And again, it should get a nice big crack area here, with some little cracks just kind of appearing out, and then yeah, and then I mean I could paint this whole area down. I could do the whole thing sort of one sort of Marshall colour if I want to. If this reddy colour here isn't going to be good enough, I've just got two sets of crackle paint, whatever, and I could just paint the whole thing down with a nice red, and then tone it all down with some pigments and things. I can do what I want with it. The colours that are occurring over here and the effects that I'm getting, it's just sludgy. It's not really cracking at the moment. Nothing really going on there. Nothing really happening. Give me a nice light brush. Yeah, nothing. My experimentations over here have proved to be fruitless. Looking to see if this is going to crack in any way It may or may not. It might take a while because it's quite thick and heavy. We'll see what happens. But yeah, getting some nice effects on this. It's quite warm in here as well today, so I think it is drying quite fast as a result. Yeah, see where we go with that. Right, back to this guy. I want to do the machine cog and skull. We did identify last week which way around it should be, but I can't remember. Leslie says that base looks killer. Emoji. Thanks, man. That's really cool. I really want to make sure that I get that cog right, because I'm going to have a little bit of, background OCD affecting me if I don't get because the skull's going to be split on one side black, one side white, and then the cog in the background is going to be white and black, but the other way around, so they kind of stand out against each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little break now, because we're an hour into the show already. That's fine, that's okay. During that time, I'm going to see if I can find out which way that needs to be around. I'm going to open up a beer, because it's a Friday and we should have a beer. Unless you're underage, don't drink beer if you're underage. Yeah, I'm going to have a little look, see if I can find that information out. And yeah, then I should probably change my paint water, because damn, mine's got a funny colour. You should definitely go and change your paint water. Go and do that now. Always change your paint water. In the meantime, I'll see you in a few minutes. Cheers now. Bye. and I'm back. Hope you had a productive 10 minutes away. I've had a productive 10 minutes. I actually changed my paint watercolour, which was pretty thick and gross. I cracked open a beer, so cheers. Don't do it. Not on TV. Thank you very much. Okay, also I've been having a look at some of the other bits and pieces I've got lying around here. Went out to a different room, got some PVA glue. Just some really cheap stuff for applying some base stuff, and I got some old Citadel Games Workshop sand, which I'll show you closely in a minute. I used to use this on all my Space Marines because I wanted them deserty, and I was really lazy when it came to doing deserty sort of bases because I never ever painted them. I just thought, well, sand's right? Look back at the work now, and it's really substandard. Don't do it. If you're going to do just sand bases, don't think you're just going to put a sand there and that's going to cut it, because it doesn't. You definitely want to paint it. What I do like about this, as I'll show you in a second, is the variations of the grains in there, and of course it's all sterile. So it's worth kind of getting, investing into some sand, even if you're just going to use it in small bits and pieces. Worth having a look at. I'm not going to apply it to the base right now because the base obviously got paint on there and it's kind of drying, and I kind of want it to do its own thing before I do anything more with that. But I'm going to take you back over to the workbench so I can show you exactly what it is that I was talking about. Let's see, put time for a cuppa. Already changed my paint water. Good lad, I'm terrible for it. Here we go. Cool, so music stopped. There we go. That's much better. Thank you very much. Here's my dude just waiting to go here. Here is some of the Games Workshop sand in a box labelled £4. That's quite old. So if I pop this little lid open, oh, there we go. So yeah, this is the sand I'm talking about, and you can see the difference in all of the different grains. So it goes right down to really tiny sand granules in there, and then you get these bigger lumps and chunks, and you can kind of mix it around and get variations, and you can just kind of pick some of these out. So if you wanted to do little bouldery bits, because they're quite smooth, because sand is quite smooth, you could get little boulders, and if you wanted to have more coarse rocks or whatever, you can get cork rocks as well, and you can buy that in tubs like this as well if you wanted to. I haven't got any yet because I've actually got some cork lumps that I'm going to be using for various other Skitarii miniatures as I go. The base here is quite busy already. I'm not going to overcrowd it, and it's nice to have a bit of variation between model to model. Have some more sand on some, have some more of the bigger ones here on some others, and on another one have the have some more cork rocks or something. Luke's put easy eats, top tip, invest in sand. Sometimes I don't realise the tripe that comes out of my mouth. For sure, I'm gonna stick with it. Invest in some sand. Thanks, Luke. Try to do something nice. I know you're laughing at me right now as well. Right. Don't even know what I'm going to say now, do I? Over here, I've got like a little plastic box just filled with some other bits and pieces. I got just random features. I don't even know what they are. They're like things for making flower arranging things that my dad gave me. So you could use some of these for something one day. You're right, I could. I'm not going to use anything from here, but I do have a big bag of cork, and again in here variations of textures. Not textures, but grain size, right up to these really big rocks here. And I've used these before. That when you painted up, they're quite nice. These ones are quite squared, quite chunky and squared. But again, if you were to invest, looking at you, Luke, if you were to invest in getting some cork in tubs, then they are a little bit more appropriately shaped. But I've got these for now. They're going to do just fine for what I need them to be. Yeah, and some various other bits and pieces in there. It's always worth having a good little pot full of random knickknacks. Just see what the box there. Cat fur going everywhere. Lovely. I do need to have a really good tidy up in this workshop. It's not just my space, it's also my housemate's space too. Looking at the stuff over here, it's not really cracking yet. It's very pasty. See what happens. I have put a little bit of white paint on the side of my palette here because I was about to just start doing some of the lenses. I've got the lens here done on the main head, but there's a lens on the backpack just over here that I want to do, and there's also a couple of lenses on the skull over there as well. But to get some nice bright colours in there, I'm going to base it with a little bit of white. So I'm just going to move my palette out of the way so I can bring my arms in. I'm rapidly losing bench space. So I'm just going to put a little dot of white on this one on the backpack in here. Being an airbrush paint, it's very smooth, so it's quite easy to move around. And then a little dot here. Perfect, and then a little dot here. Contrasting quite well with their surroundings, so there's no real need to put like a second coat onto those, because whatever colour I put on over the top, yeah, should show off nice and clearly. Now I might just get a very tiny amount of white on the end of this brush, and I'm just going to put a little white dot in the centre of this blue lens here, just to further enhance sort of the shine. Perfect. I can see it. Don't know if you can. Doesn't matter. I'm happy with it. There we go. So I think with these ones, I'm just going to do like maybe a green or a red one on each of those. I don't want them to be blue. I want blue to specifically be for the eye lenses. So I don't know what colour I'm going to do here. Maybe I'll do green on the backpack and a red on the servo skull. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do it. What I've got for the green is I've got a contrast paint, which I'm hoping will do a really good job of... I hope it'll do a really good job of kind of running around it and then just kind of giving a glaze over the top to make it look like a nice pale colour. I've got Orc Contrast Flesh, not used it before, gonna give it a go. Leslie says, he, I came here for the giggles. Not really, I came here for the cool and easygoing atmosphere and the chance to see other people's awesome paintwork. Cheers, man. You guys are so nice to me. Like, I suck at painting, but you guys are all really cool. Thank you. I am going to maybe water this down a touch. It's a nice green colour. I'm hoping with the white background it will give a nice sort of mild lighting effect. I also am going to use my crimson, Carabag Crimson, unless I've got it up here somewhere already. Nope. My Carabag Crimson for the same technique but with the red, because it gives a really good effect, does that colour. But I don't seem to have it right in front of me. Yes, I do. There it is. Carabag Crimson. Now, there are different types of paints. Got a cat hair in my nose. Different types of paints. This one is a shade, so it's really watery. This one is not a shade and is much thicker. It behaves very differently. You have to water this down to make it become a shade, and even then with certain mediums. But I'm just gonna, because I'm going to be using it in such small quantities, water will be fine. Just getting a little bit out of the pot there. Making sure I've not got any pigments nearby. It's a nice colour. It's the first time I've ever opened this pot, so it's nice to see what it actually looks like. And I'm just going to clean the brush off. Being a contrast, it's quite a heavy pigment, so it doesn't take a lot to affect the water. You can't really see on my screen where the paint is on the palette. But I've got a really nice green colour there. I'm hoping with a white background it will really sort of brighten it up, make it quite obvious as a lens or a light or something. Okay, here we go. Done a bad job. Might need a bit more pigment in it. Okay, so wipe the brush clean. I'll just lift a bit of the water on there out. So I'm just going to take a bit more paint. And I'm just going to add a drop of it to the watered down stuff. Make it just a little bit more viscous, a little bit more painty. That's almost perfect, really. Dare I put on another dollop and see what happens? Oh, Leslie says, dude, you must be impressed with that little cyborg dude. The amount of colour and detail, I think it's incredible. Thanks, man. I am well happy with it. It's a really nice model, and I really enjoyed painting it. You know when you're painting a model, sometimes you're like, oh, does this ever end? That's a really good light effect. Well chuffed with that. Drop it in the pigment. Oh my god, I ruined everything. Yeah, I'm really happy with everything about it. Nearly ruined it all though, didn't I? But I kept my cool. It'll only be later on when I take photos of it that I realise it's covered in pigment. What I'm not happy with, looking back on it, is how the Nuln oil has actually dried in air. You can see how flat it goes, and that's why I don't like Nuln oil. I will brighten up with a little bit of silver later on, so not to worry. I did wonder if it was going to do that. Nuln oil, always disappointing. Okay, let's see if this red colour is going to do what I want it to do. This might actually be the wrong sort of red, actually, looking at it. This isn't the sort of red that you want for a light, is it? It's got very purple tones to it, so I might just make my own red one. So after all that, trying to find that colour, ends up putting it away. Let's get, I got like a gory red or something, a bloody red. See, that's more what I want, isn't it, really? Okay, let's give that a shake. I'm going to mix it with water to make it really quite runny, and it's an airbrush paint, so it's already halfway there, so that's nice and easy, right? Okay, there we go. Actually got quite a lot of pigment, that colour. Let's get a slightly bigger brush and just add some water. Add a bit more, why not? There we go. There's my little tissue gone to dry my brush off there. Okay, back in with a small detail brush. Nuln oil and you guys really don't get on. We don't. We had a falling out. I like to keep it there just to remind me, but yeah, I don't think there's much space in the world for Nuln oil for me anymore. Even a sludge wash, as a sludge wash, I find it difficult. Okay, here we go. Is it too watery? Oh my gosh. Add a bit more paint into the water mix. That's a very vibrant red, but it kind of looks like a nice little light. Just took it out. That's not what I wanted. Oh, the tiniest details making my eyes go funny. There we go. I quite like that. That's really nice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to that green colour, and I'm just ever so slightly with a wet tip to the brush. So I'm just going to see if I can just score the middle up, as it worked when I was doing the blue lenses. It's just dance around on the middle a little bit and just see if I can wear it through to make the middle become a little bit more paler. working. I'm going to take a trick from Luke's book. There's somewhere here I've got some cleaner, airbrush cleaner. Actually, this is actually a 50-50 mix of water and cleaner. I'm just going to see if that will help just peel away the top colour of that, a layer of that colour, sorry. Lovely. I don't know if you can really see that on the camera, but I can. Move that out of the way. Anyway, I like it. It's kind of cool. I might actually do the same with the rad counter. Do like red and green or something. Just have like very basic colours in there, like, you know, almost like traffic lights, if you like. Safe, not safe, definitely not safe sort of levels. Now it's time to do the machine opus, or whatever it is it's called, the cog, which is the skull is black on the right, and then white on the other side. Sorry, the black on our left as we look at it. So on this side of the cog. There we go. A bit more beer. All these little tiny detail jobs are what I always find I end up getting lost in, and it's really easy to kind of go overboard on your focus on them. But I do think it's important that we, when we're kind of doing models, that we kind of pick out those little things, if you're so inclined, of course, because they just add so much depth, so much character, so much additional detail to the little model that I think that it deserves. It's got another light up there as well, isn't it? Maybe perhaps I should do that one as well. Yeah. I find it worth it. You just got to know when to stop, because otherwise you can just, like I can just get so absorbed in the moment of the model. Got a twitchy hand going on there. There we go, that's that one done as well. It's very easy to never have a model finished, you know, so know when to stop. Excuse me, that was the beer coming back up. I'm just looking at the base down here, it's actually looking really good. Lots of little cracks now starting to appear, lots of little ones around the outside. There's some bits that are kind of sticking up, which I can just use the ferrule of my paintbrush to kind of crush and push them away. They stick out too far. Lots of little cracks starting to appear. You know, and I can add powders, textures, sand, anything I want now in here to kind of make it look a bit more, break it all up a bit more. I'm hoping that as the night goes on, that this bit in the middle here is going to crack with really large cracks in there, make it look kind of just a bit thicker. And then I could put a few more bits of sand on, just add a bit of variation to the whole scene. I could even add like a big rock, like a big piece of slate or something like that if I wanted to. But I'm going to wait for it all to dry before I go into that too much. Right. The machine cog thing, that's what we started out to do. Let's get that done. I'm running out of space here and I don't really want to have that big palette around anymore, so I'm just going to bring in, I've got like an upturned pie lid which I've been using for some washes earlier on. I'm going to actually use that as like a little mini palette. It's going to be quite handy to have a small palette here. I'm going to do a drop of white on there. And I think for this one, I'm actually going to use my really big detail brush, my Raphael Kalinsky, because it can go down to such a fine point. Here we go. Paint in the brush. Oh, right, so what did I say? It was black on the right hand side, didn't I? So I'm gonna pick up the cogs from behind. And now I'm going to go to the other side of the skull and just bring a bit of white back to that. This brush is making this job so much easier than I expected it to be. That's wonderful. With that, I might even be inclined to add just another white dot in the center of his lens. Beautiful. What can I say? Get a good brush. Okay, here we go. Just making sure that I'm in shot. I haven't actually looked up at the screen there for a while. Get a bit more paint on the brush there. Okay, I can breathe. So, I've just painted the detail around the outside there, which is on that cog feature. It's not actually as well defined on the back here. Though it's a slightly bigger icon, you'd expect there to be a bit of a better detail, but it's not. But that's not an issue, it's fine. Bring the side of that skull up a little bit. Excellent. I'm just going to wash my brush out. I'm going to move my palette over there. There we go. And now I need a bit of black. Do I have a black out? Cat hairs in my mouth. Cat hairs are just getting everywhere lately. There's my black. Still more cat hair coming out my mouth. Crazy. Right. Give the black a good shake up. I'll have a beer while I'm doing it. Wonderful. To be fair, what I could have done rather than using non-oil to make those edging marks on like the helmet and on the pauldrons, etc., is I could have just used maybe a slightly watered down, or even like using medium to water down the paint, just straight paint with a good detail brush and actually just kind of paint those lines in. Excuse me, rather than just letting or trying to rely on non-oil to do that kind of capillary work for me. So a lesson there for the future, perhaps. Right. So, black this time, on the right hand side, well, on the left hand side of the skull as we see it. Okay, I got it. I got it. I'm really happy with it. Okay, now the cog on the other side. How's that look? Tell me what you think. I'm pretty happy with it, to be fair. When I'm considering the size of it. Okay. Black on the other side. I know it's a million miles away from what the efforts of any pro could do, but for me, trying to push my boundaries a little bit, I'm really happy with this. Brush needs a clean. If the paint's not transferring, clean your brush. Because it's not the brush that's doing bad things, it's the paint drying in the brush and it's becoming almost waxy and it won't come off. So clean your brush. You should be cleaning your brush more than you want to be, if that makes sense. That way you know that you're cleaning it all the time. Okay, here we go. Leslie says, amazing. Dude, I'm going to have to start paying you. Thank you. Okay, it's one side of the skull done. I'm just going to neaten up the top there. Oh, that's pretty straight as well. Okay, and then cog on the other side. Bit of paint, bit more on there. There we go. Wash the brush out. It's not transferring again. There we go. Luke says, Call would be proud. You're doing the machine god's work. Thanks, man. That means a lot. To be on the same level as Belisarius Cool. For anybody who doesn't know who that is, he's like the big god man, the guy in charge of all of this stuff. The leader of Mars? Is that correct? I think he is, isn't he? Well, I'm pretty happy with that. It's a really, really small set of cogs or symbols or whatever you want to call them, and for them to have that sort of detail on, I'm pretty chuffed. Just gonna have a little go because I'm feeling a little bit cocky about how good I am with this brush in black, defining some of those lines. I'm good enough to be able to do that. It's actually not too hard. So I never have to actually use Nuln Oil again. Okay, good to know. I have been thinking about adding a little black line just around the top of the silver here, so I might just give that a go as well. Again, wash the old brush out, because there are some like color transitions where they just almost blend together, and I actually like there to be a much more defining line from the top of this kind of knee piece come into shot a bit more, to the actual trouser leg here. I worked really hard trying to find a colour match for the colour in the artwork in the actual codex. This is almost spot on, really happy with it, but it just needs a little bit of a line here. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to give this stuff a go because paint retarder, right? Because this paint is drying really quickly despite it being an airbrush paint. So if I just put a drop in, this is definitely not stuff for the airbrush, so there's a lesson learned. That's a bit of a quick mix around. It's almost like a gel, that's weird stuff. When mixing paints, if you're using the same brush to mix with that you're going to use to actually paint with, always clean it off. Even if you think, oh, but it's the right colour in there, you've got too much in your brush for mixing, always clean your brush out. That's a big lesson that I learned. Again, clean your brush out even if you don't want to. Just do it. Buy a good brush, look after it, clean it more than regularly. You'll be happy with it, you'll be thanking me for it as well. And that's all I want is your thanks. Okay, here we go. Just going to add just a touch of water into that. Go, just that touch of definition. Luke says, if I remember, he's high up on Mars, but not the leader. But it's trusted by Big E, the Emperor for those of you that don't know, to mess with his stuff, and made Rowboat Gullyman, made Rowboat Gullyman's resurrection armor. Yeah, he did all the armor and stuff for him and built all the new Primaris Marines and all their new guns and stuff. So he's not the leader on Mars, just a high up enough dude. Interesting. Okay, there we go. So it's just a little bit of border between these colours. It's a little bit of false shadow, isn't it? And it just kind of helps separate those two areas. Might just go in again with a little bit more saturation on that paint. Just to really further lend that distinction between the two. Yeah, okay, happy there. Could use this a bit more in certain areas in here as well. Can I get enough of a line? Yes, I can. Excellent. Yeah, this is so much better than using Nuln oil. Oh, I've gone a bit heavy there. I have to wash that down a second. But fortunately, I've got paint retarder in there, which means it's going to dry a little bit slower. Wonderful. Okay. Just washing a little bit of that over paint away. That's perfect. That's everything I actually wanted from it. It feels like this evening that, I suppose it could look like this evening, that actually I haven't made an awful lot of progress, but on the contrary, I have made a lot of progress, and I'm pretty happy with it, to be fair. So yeah, these actually look like little straps. So I'm thinking the silver, and then maybe hit them with some snakebite leather just to make them like little leather straps on their backpacks. So I think I might be doing that in a minute as well. Again, coming back to the base to have a little look over here, you can see that there's now lots of little cracks starting to appear in the edges of this big section underneath. You can see here. I'm hoping that as the night goes on, that'll just turn into a big sort of cracked area with a lot more definition in there. And then I can paint this all in. See, I could, if I wanted to, where all this texture paint is, just do a really, really thin layer of this Martian paint colour, just to kind of make it all one colour. And then I can use all the pigments to kind of make variations in blends and tones and things. See what happens. I'm actually going to do that now, I think, while I've got it there. Because if you paint this thin enough, it doesn't crack. Because it needs to be on quite thick. I think I want it all now the same colour as a nice little base colour. I suppose also by doing this, if I am going a little heavier in some places, I'm lending to that feathering effect that I was talking about earlier on, where you don't just want like one stark area, you do want it to be you know, softer edges, so when you put a big dollop down, go around it. Water that down a little bit so it's a bit easier to use, doesn't start trying to turn into a crackle effect somewhere. Gonna have to get some more paint there, didn't have an awful lot. There we go. actually really like that red colour. Might not actually have to use pigments. When I was saying earlier on, maybe I need to get like a red pigment. This might actually be enough to play with once this dries. Yeah. Looking forward to see what it turns into. This green stuff, World Crackle paint, does need longer to dry than the Citadel stuff. I do find the Citadel stuff to be, I think, a better paint. They seem to have really mastered the recipe for it. However, I don't really like the quantity that you get for the price that you pay. And when you compare that price and the volume to the Green Stuff World equivalent, it's a no-brainer. Something for you to bear in mind, perhaps. But that's not me trying to make your mind up for you, make your decisions for you. Definitely make your own decisions and buy what you're into. I quite like this colour now. I've been playing around with it a little bit more, and it's kind of dried a little bit different. Not so orangey as it was earlier on. Or perhaps my eye has just kind of changed a little bit. I like it. It's nice. Anyway. So, a couple more comments going in. The video nearly went then, but it could have been my signal. Okay, interesting. I don't have any alerts. I'm just going to have a little look through because I have a little list. Click to open your notifications window. I don't have any notifications. Nothing going there at my end, so perhaps it was at your end. But then he does go on to say that, on a better note, the work you've put into this chap has paid off. You're going to give him or her or it a name? Yeah, I think I should. There's a part of me that wants to kind of give them like a binary name, like 1001. It's kind of been done, that joke, hasn't it? I don't think it's necessarily appropriate. So yeah, I'm probably going to look for a little bit of inspiration from a lot of the sort of steampunk books and stories and things that I'm into. We've said so many times that I'm a big Wells fan, not Orson Welles, but his namesake H.G. Wells. War of the Worlds is by far my favourite story ever. I'm obsessed with it. I don't know what it is about it. It's just phenomenal story. It's well told even for an old book now. I just love the concepts, all the different concepts that are in there. And you can go to you can go to the other end. You can go like really sort of like man on the moon kind of steampunk things where you start getting all like the weird and wonderful devices and things like that. On the one side I've got like the Wellesian stuff, which has a lot of like the planet kind of vibes in it, and then you got all the other bits and pieces in there as well. There's just so much that I can take from it. I don't know where to start to even start looking for names, so I might just call him Wells. That's a good name. I've said it now and it's kind of sticking. Marshall Wells. It's good, isn't it? Luke says, connection's all good at his end. Fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, it's my laptop is running off of the Wi-Fi at the moment. For some unknown reason, I am hardwired in. But yeah, it's just kind of not recognising the connection today. But it seems to be stable, so that's all good. Hopefully, it won't do what it sometimes does, which is in the last 2 minutes, because click, no connection for you. That would suck. So, really happy with a lot of the features that are on here. I've got a long way to go in terms of painting development on how to really start like making things stand out from the background. So as an example to what I'm talking about here is you've got all the silvers and everything that I've painted in here, and then the little machine cog symbol here, you can see it, but it doesn't lift off from the surface, and I don't necessarily know how to do that. It doesn't kind of like go like, here I am, and it might just be because my colours are a little bit too flat, they're not bold enough, especially the machine icon to stand out from the background. I don't know how to do that yet. I hope that I will learn. Something that I am looking forward to about the new box of Skitarii Rangers that I've got is that they have come with some water slide decals, because this little fella doesn't come with any, and traditionally they have like little symbols and things on the edges of their cloaks and whatever, and then there's the actual Forge World symbol that they have, the place that they come from, which is Riser for me. I have none of that iconography on them, and I would like to have it because it would kind of break them up and make them look nicer. When I start applying sort of pigments and weathering to him, I know he's got a little bit of weathering with the sort of Agrax Earthshade or the sepia tones and things down here to kind of make the orange blend away a little bit. That's more just for rendering the colour, though I have made it heavier at the bottom for weathering. But I will start adding sort of pigments in to weather it. I will do that once the water slides have gone on, because otherwise I'll just be like so white or so bright colours against all the weathering. So he will need like another application over the top of that. I'm going to give him a quick matte spray down just to protect everything on there so far. But again, I'm going to wait for the base to go, because I'll do the two pieces, or maybe I'll like put them together and spray him. But yeah, he needs to be protected because there's a lot of detail for it all to rub off. And let's see if I can just get them back together again without causing too much damage to everything, just to see how he looks with all that terrain around his feet. It's looking pretty mega. It's a really nice colour actually at the bottom. I didn't want the red to really blend with the orange too much, so hopefully with a lot of pigments, maybe a little bit of stain here and there, maybe it'll really play. It'll really work with all the other colours on him. Looks like he's leaning a little bit over to the side, which I'm not entirely happy with, so I'll have a little play with him. Like I say, he's a bit tight to fit on. It's looking pretty cool. I'm really chuffed with him. It's turned out really well. Still got to do a couple of extra bits and pieces on him. I am going to highlight with a bit of silver these two little plugs on the side of his leg down here. So a couple of little, I don't know, connectors or something. Can you see his little holes there? That's going to be cool. I'm going to obviously put the little colours in on the rad counter in there, although I don't think it needs it, so I might just do like, rather than actually putting block colours in like I have with the lenses, which have worked well, I might just kind of do some sort of shades over the silver in there. But if you have a look at how well that green's come out, I don't know if you can see so well, it's come out really well, so I might just put a little bit of white in there and then just do some nice little colours, see how well it turns out. Anything else on there that needs doing? Less is more. I might do the straps because they look quite nice, so I might be doing those over the next sort of half an hour-ish on Discord. Some more comments going in. Leslie says, so it's just my phone, not a problem. Cheers guys. But that name is cool. I like it. It has character and rank. Nice. I hadn't really thought about the rank. Yeah, well, Marshall, I suppose. Yeah, Marshall Wells. Yeah, I like it. It's good. Skitarii Marshall Wells. Maybe he'll be my Wellsian detachment. I don't know. I'm absolutely obsessed with that book, with that story. If you haven't read it, get it. It's a really affordable book. It's a really small book. You could read it in a week if you're not a fast reader. So yeah, it's got a lot of inspirations in there, and it's inspired me to do an entire army of war games. So give it a go. You never know. It's a tasty little beer. Anyway, let's come away from the workbench now, because we're getting to the end. Here we are. Cool. Absolutely loving this model. I've been painting him for three strong weeks now. Just doing little bits here, just learning, just playing, just kind of getting on with it. And I've loved every little step. Normally when you paint a model, there are little aspects to it that you go like, oh, this is really difficult, this is really complicated. I love all the little details on him. I thought that actually painting all the details was going to be really difficult with a Skitarii army, because they're so fine, they're so skinny, they're not big and bold like a lot of the Tyranid models are that I have. Especially like Space Marines, where they got like big, bold, you know, not flat surfaces, but you know, big open spaces of armor plating that, you know, can just take colour and you can get away with a lot more. I think these are, excuse me again, beer. I was expecting it to be a much more intimidating adventure to paint this thing, but actually it's just turned out to be a real laugh. Get one, have a go. They are expensive, these ones, so maybe get a box and get more for your buck. Yeah, that's Danny's tips for the day. Invest in the sand. Anyway, Today I've had great fun doing this. It's been a smaller crowd today, but that's fine with me. It's not every week is it going to be busy. And in fact, it's nice to change it up sometimes. If you're watching this back later on replay because you've been away at some of the amazing events that are going on in the UK, I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you. Not that I would have improved your life. Maybe I would have. Who knows? But I hope you have a wicked time and maybe you get a lot from this video watching it back on the replay. Let us know what you think. You can always write to us in the comments section at the bottom, so please do. I read everything when it goes up, and I try to engage with every viewer all the time. Loads of you guys are always on Facebook. If you've got anything that you've been painting and you want to kind of show it off, I want to see it. So please put it up on Facebook. There's a community tab. Go find that bad boy and then upload all your photos. I want to see everything. Leslie and Luke and Kez, everyone is just putting stuff up there all the time. Adrian, even Jeanette's been putting stuff up. She doesn't even paint models. So go crazy. Fill Facebook. Make it a really nice place where we can see all of your stuff and tell us a little bit about it. And maybe tell us a little bit about the inspirations and things that kind of you draw inspiration from, and maybe that's why you painted the way you have, like I have with my Skitarii here. If anyone's considering painting up Skitarii, let us know, because I would really like to have like a Skitarii off. That makes some sense. Anyway, until next week. I hope that you look after yourselves. I hope that you stay kind and are safe in this crazy world. Between now and then, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next week. Take care of yourselves. See you around. Bye-bye. Gonna get me loads of sand.